the short answer is Asana helps you organize your work, create a list. Sometimes, even Asana, folks don't like to see Asana as a task list, but it is
Mm-hmm.
a list of things that need to be done, a list of goals, a list of projects, a list of
Mm-hmm.
tasks, a list of reports, right? Of things
Mm-hmm.
that you need to do. So it's an organizational tool and not a doing tool.
Karl is a project management and customer success professional with over 10 years of experience helping organizations learn and adopt software. He recently founded The Success to help teams get work done faster and with more clarity by using Asana, a project management software. To help teams implement new software, he leverages change management, best practices, and simple designs. He approaches his work with empathy and curiosity, and always remember that it's about getting work done and reducing stress, not simply learning software. And what is not included in this bio is that he is also a killer kizomba DJ, just like me. And I'm very excited to have him on the show. Hi, Carl.
Hey, how's it going, Savi?
I'm good. I'm good.
Should I say DJ Savi
DJ
or is
Savvy.
it
Well,
Samantha?
no, this is the interviewer podcast Savvy, so it's a different hat right now.
All right.
Oh man. So, you recently had me on your podcast to talk about workflows, and we talked a little bit. I will release that one as well, so I'll put a link to it so people can see it. But we talked about my workflows on there, which is basically using my fancy schmancy agenda book. And so, you are a professional in this industry and you have a lot more experience in kind of creating these online workflows. So, why don't you kind of walk us through what exactly it is that you do and how you help people with that?
Yeah. So I help people work faster and reduce stress. That's the
Mm-hmm.
easiest way to do it.
Yes.
Now, people like, we love that. What do you mean by work faster and reduce stress? That is using a work management platform or project management platform so that they can organize their work, which helps the reduction of stress, and they can automate some parts of it. So the example I like to give people is imagine you're planning a big event. You're planning the Super Bowl, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot that goes into it. There's the marketing team that is planning the advertisements. There's the sales team that's selling the ad slots. There's the legal team making sure we have the right messaging, making sure we have the right contract signed, right? Then you have the events team, the people on the ground, right? Then you have the work with the artists. You have all this work that's happening in the background to make sure that the Super Bowl is, a great success. And to make that happen, you need to coordinate this work.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone had to email each other or keep notes somewhere, it would be stressful, and in the end, it wouldn't be done fast. So
Mm-hmm.
I help folks bring events like the Super Bowl, or maybe it's your everyday work, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are planning podcasts, you are organizing. You're organizing small events, or even you're just working with your legal team. Let's say I help people do all of that and organize that work in Asana. And Asana is a project management platform. And this allows people to see what work is being done, right? Who's doing the work, what is being done, when it's being done, and even how it's being done if you add that context in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that reduces stress because folks know where things are progressing. I'll
Mm-hmm.
stop right there. Does that explain what I do well?
Yeah, it does. And my thing, and maybe we can like make me a case study or something like that, right? Because I'm starting this new business, this new public speaking business. And the thing that I always really get confused on, there's a few things, and maybe we can go down all of the different rabbit holes. So, one of the things is just even knowing what softwares are available because there are so many options, and then knowing Like, and especially with AI coming, I know we spoke about it a little bit on the other podcast, or quite a bit actually, about the AI tools that are out now, but it's like, how do we even decide, or like, how do we learn what tools they are, because
Mhm.
I think I went through a list on Asana actually of all the connection tools that they have available, and just all like there were hundreds of programs that I never even heard of. So it's like, how do we filter out kind of the garbage that we don't need, or the stuff that we don't need, and just pick a tool, first of all? But then also, like, how do we implement it into the business and to create the integrations? Because those are things that I really struggle with in building my own business right now, is like figuring out what the tools are, figuring out what they do, how they can help me, and how I can implement them into my business to create a workflow, but then connect them all together as well so that they talk to each other.
Yeah, well, that's a big question. And
It's a
if you
big
ask me
question.
yeah, it's funny because if you asked me that question 3 years ago, my answer would have been very different than what it's going to be now. 3
Mhm.
years ago, I would say, all right, do a Google search, or maybe 4 years ago, do a Google search, look for G2 review, there's a review website, or search something review, search the name of the tool that you're aware of, and search competitors, right? And you end up doing
Mhm.
that. So then you end up doing some research and finding out more about it. But now I would say maybe do a little bit of that and then just ask, the chat GPTs, the Geminis of the world,
Mhm.
what's a best tool for this? And actually, you could even start your discovery there. Say, hey, Gemini,
Mhm.
what's the best tool for email campaigns? And it's gonna give you a list. Maybe it gives you a super long. Can you trim this down to a list of 5? And because I am a small business owner who does this, 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 and I care about those things, and I want the price to be within this, and it has great reviews. And
Mhm.
then it could trim it down, and then you can say, okay, these are my use cases. And it's so funny because as you ask me this question, I'm thinking, yeah, I probably don't even need to go to a search engine. Like I might go after to the websites,
Mhm.
right? After I ask ChatGPT to give me links to their website or to a third party review,
Mhm.
and then you can do that. And I did that actually. I did that for I was looking for video storage and video recording, and that was one of the first times I created a prompt to look at all different um, video services out there, video storage services, and then decided
Mhm.
one based on, Gemini's response. So yeah, my answer is start with Google or a general search if you need to,
Uh-huh.
and then go to Gemini and add your context because you're not gonna have all that context in a search, and it could help you trim down your
Yeah,
answer.
and I think that's one of the beautiful things. Like, I think people are now starting to use the language learning models, like the chats and the Geminis, and the Perplexity is one that I use as well for research,
Mhm,
because it's built specifically for research, right?
mhm.
But I think people are starting to go to these platforms now, and because they can pull all the stuff from Google, right? So they can look at like 200 different websites within 30 seconds and give you a
Yep.
summary, and something that would take me like hours to do, they can do it in seconds.
Yeah. And the thing with reviews, there are a lot of review websites that are sponsored by, the product. So
Mhm.
they're not always unbiased. Sometimes they're very biased. They're like, here's the top 10. Number one is this one. And it's like, yes, we are an affiliate and we are being paid for this. So
Yeah, I noticed that actually sometimes I'll look for like, oh, what programs do this? And then I end up like on a review website of the product that they're trying to push.
yes.
And it's like, well, obviously we're the best, but then they also give you a list of competitors too.
Yeah.
Uh,
You know what I saw the other day that was really funny? I was looking for email campaign tool, right? And they listed the competitors, but they didn't list their number one competitor.
mm.
and they had, some of the competitors, and at the bottom there's room for comments, and then somebody's like, how come you didn't have this person or this brand? Because like everything I say online, it says that this brand is like your number one competitor. I don't know if they were being sarcastic or not, but it
Yeah.
was really funny that they were like, let's think about all the other
All the
competitors,
other
the
ones that
smaller ones.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
funny. Um, so once we kind of, like, dig down to, like I guess the other thing that I really struggle with is figuring out exactly what these programs do, right? Because the marketing pages, the sales pages, they're all flashy and stuff, but sometimes I really struggle with like Asana or Notion was another one that we talked about briefly. Like I have no clue what Notion is or what it does. But I know that people use it and I know that you can create templates for it and stuff. And so I'm like, what is this thing? Like, how do you, like, why do they make it so hard to figure out how these things can actually help you or how these things can work with you on a day to day basis? Or like, how do we figure that out?
Oh, wow. I could go on so many rabbit holes of this.
Yeah.
I was actually creating a deck that talks about some of the issues with a lot of these products, and the way they're marketed is that there is a tech, curse of knowledge. Folks in tech kind of know what they know and things seem intuitive to them. And they're like, yeah, just go in. It's intuitive. Just start your free trial and go. And you're plugging things in. But if you're not in tech, if you're not deep in tech, really, because
Mhm.
everyone's using tech every day, it may not be as intuitive. So that's a rabbit hole I said I could go into, and I could. But I think the other part of it is knowing your workflow and writing it down.
Mhm.
So thinking, okay, what do I do? So I gave the example of the Super Bowl, right?
Mhm.
But let's shrink it down. Not the Super Bowl. Let's say a Thanksgiving party,
Mhm.
right? And I'm saying, okay, I have a Thanksgiving dinner every year. What do I do in my Thanksgiving dinner? I do
Mhm.
this, I do that, I purchase this, I email these people, I invite this person, I remember not to invite this person if that person is coming, right? That's like a dependency in a way. Don't invite aunt this if
Yeah.
aunt that is coming, and
Yeah.
all of that. Once you've written down your process, you then can say, okay, here's what I do. I plan this, I do this, and then you can think of like what's a tool that can help me plan this. So I think the bigger part of it is, one, knowing your process, knowing what you do,
Mhm.
and then two, really being aware that the tech space has a bias for saying things are intuitive and you can learn them easily. While simultaneously they have a lot of videos and articles to help you, because part of them know that it's not always easy. So
Yeah.
uh, and then the last part, to get started, you just have to choose one. You have to
Mhm.
choose one. I'm biased. I would say choose Asana, because Asana is is kind of like simple in a way to start with, but it has the
Mhm.
capabilities that are more sophisticated.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, I would say you just have to like make the jump, create that
Yeah.
Asana account, create that Notion account. You're like, I never knew
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah.
Click, connect to Google.
Yeah, and then there's like the other thing for me is the integrations, right? So then
Oh, yes.
once you start like you pick a platform, right? Or you pick a software and it's kind of like, okay, now I'm committed to this software, but it's also like integrating it and then making sure that it actually fulfills your needs, because the other thing that like my one of my worst nightmares is picking the wrong software and then realizing, oh, this other software has like better integrations or it talks to these things, and then you
Yeah.
realize that you could have made a much more efficient workflow to help you through it. So let's talk about integrations and like Like, and
Sounds
also then we'll talk about things like Make and Zapier and like how did those work in, right, as well.
yeah, so sounds like you have some integration FOMO.
Well, okay, so I'm taking this AI class, right? And I'm like learning about all the things that are out there. And for me, the number one issue that I have is like overwhelm. It's just like there's
Mm.
new softwares, new technologies coming out every single day. And so then it's like, okay, it it's decision fatigue, And at a certain point in time, you just need to like pick something, but at the same time, you're like, okay, well, maybe this one is better for this because it does this, or this one's better for that because it does that. And then all of a sudden, you end up with a tech stack of like 10 different things, but five of them cross over in certain places. And so then it's about like making sure that you weed out the crap that you don't need, or you're like doing things double, right?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. There will always be some overlap, I'd say, in terms of what things can do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and being an Asana, I don't want to say expert,
Yeah. Well,
sounds
yeah, you're
pompous, but being an
it
Asana
sounds to
expert,
me like you're an expert.
being an Asana expert, I do a lot of things that I could do in other platforms in Asana, but Asana
Mhm.
wasn't, purpose built for it. But
Mhm.
let me answer your integrations question.
Yeah.
I think with integrations, um, it's really not about the number. So
Mhm.
I'm sure you'd agree with this, but I just want to put it out there. Folks will say we have 100 plus integrations, and another one will say we have 1,000 plus integrations. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I want 1,000 over 100.
Yeah.
Um, and then,
Marketing.
market exactly. Zapier will say we have 7,000 integrations. Think of an
Mhm.
integration, we have it.
Mhm.
Um, so I would say integrations, start thinking again, thinking about your workflow, what you do, what's important to you. Um, and do some research around, okay, I use Slack, I use Gemini, I use um I don't know what else. I use Mailchimp. I
Mhm.
use, Zoom, right? And
Mhm.
and where do I want to store my videos? I use Drive, and then kind of like pose that question to ChatGPT. What would be the best one for this type of integration? And I would probably even reduce it to what do you use the most when you think of
Mhm.
integrations, and then ask like what type of integration. So some cheat questions here. Is there a two-way sync? Sometimes it's only a
Mhm.
one-way integration where it will integrate from, let's say it integrates from Zoom to Google Drive, but not Drive back to Zoom, right? You
Mhm.
can't switch and do back and forth. Or maybe, um, and I don't know this, I just use that example. I don't want the Zoom folks to come at me. Um, so really think about which platforms you use the most, where you want them to sync, and then
Mhm.
the actions you use. So it's kind of breaking down um syncing. Well, does it exist? If I had to, I'm creating this on the spot. One, does
Mhm.
it exist? Two, does it? What's the syncing mechanism? Is it
Mhm.
two-way sync all the time, instantly, or is it syncing every 30 minutes or at the end of the day? And does that
Mhm.
matter for you? And then
Mhm.
three, thinking about the actions it can take, because some of them will do a few actions or the most important actions, or some of them will do no actions. Some of them have predefined actions, and
Mhm.
look at that. So I would say those are the places to start when you think about integrations.
Mhm. Okay. So then in terms of Asana and integrations, like because like some things you can integrate directly also as well with just like an API key, right? And then other things you need to connect with other tools like Zapier or Make. And I think this is part of where small business owners in particular, where we don't have like an IT team to help us, right? And we
Yes.
don't necessarily understand what's going on in the back end. And so it's like, how do you know when you can integrate something directly versus like I need to get a Make subscription, or now I need to get a
Yeah.
Zapier subscription, because that just adds another layer of complexity. I'm also learning about N8N in this AI class, right? And so it's just like too much, you know? So how do we figure that out as well? Like that's a struggle for small business owners.
That is a struggle, trying to figure out. Well, the first thing I will say, this is my hot take, and I used to say this when I worked at Asana, because I did work at Asana for 3 years and 10 months exactly before I moved on to now where I'm running my own practice as an Asana consultant. I I used to say if it's not a native integration, which is what you're saying, like that direct connection in Asana, you pretty
Mhm.
much don't have it, to a
Mhm.
lot of customers. I'm not saying you don't, but you said the words API, and in my head I was like cringing in a way because once you say, "Yeah, this is easily connectable," is that a word?
Yeah, connectable. We made
It's
it one.
easily this is easily connectable using our API. I'm like, a lot of folks don't know what APIs are, and if you do, you're like, "I don't wanna mess with an API. I don't wanna go to, like, that that's
I
for
have
nerds."
Yeah, like, I have no idea. Like, I know that it's like a stream of letters and numbers, and I know that you copy it from one place and paste it into another place, but, like, I don't know how it works. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing, and I also know that you need a different one for every connection. Like, you can't just use one API key for everything, right? So
So, yeah, so I would say stay out of that, look for native connections, and that would be
Mhm,
in Asana. An example would be an Asana native connection with Google with Gmail, right?
mhm,
So automatically, if you get an email with Gmail, if you have the Asana and Gmail integration, or it's like an app in there, you can have emails sent from Gmail to Asana. And in your
mhm,
task, you can have some automations that send Asana messaging back to Gmail, right? And you
mhm,
don't have to like know anything about APIs or use Make or anything like that. So
mhm,
I would say if you're looking for hands off, prioritize the ones that have native integrations. And again, look at those three things that I mentioned. Does it exist? Obviously, it exists in this case.
mhm,
See if it's two ways. And then the third part, making sure that, hey, what actions do I want? Is it just like reply all? Can it continue a chain of email thread, or is it starting a brand new thread? So I would say with integrations, actually, this is a hot take. I would say with integrations, just wow, I gotta be really careful with what I say here. I like to because I don't practice what I'm going to say.
Oh,
I like
okay.
to I like to start with integrations of things that I already know how to do.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'm going to start with these native integrations, and it's going to ask me to do things that are within my skill set.
Mhm,
Now, that's not always what I preach. Sometimes I learn something new, but I think for a lot of businesses and definitely for small business owners as well, you want to do your work. You want to get stuff done,
mhm,
and it's not learning a new tool. But if it's just a native integration that you just have to plug and place, connect the
mhm.
fields and like say yes, uh, I would say start with that.
Yeah.
You had another question about Make, but I want to hear about Make or Zapier. I don't know if it's Zapier or Zapier. It's still the question is out there in the world.
About pronunciation?
Pronunciations
Yeah.
is Zapier or Zapier.
I don't know if we're gonna solve that world problem today, but I don't remember what my question was, but because so okay, the three things that I know that you can use for those kinds of integrations, right, are Make and Zapier, and now I'm learning about N8N, right? And
Mhm.
for me, like it just and maybe we can talk about this also in regard to project management software tools like Asana or Notion. Like when you're a small business owner, I think one of the big bottlenecks or one of the big struggles as well is the conflict between you just need to get shit done versus spending the time to actually learn about the tools so that it makes your life easier in the long run, right? So there's like a little bit of short-term pain for long-term gain, right? And it's about
Mhm.
figuring out where the best place to put that time and energy into these automations is. And so I wanted to talk about let's like for talking about Asana, for example, like when you work with small business owners, what are the big like bottlenecks or the big resistances that you see with business owners? And then how does Asana really help with getting over those hurdles?
Yeah. So I'll answer the first one. I think I'll go back to integrations and kind of wrap that up really quickly,
Mhm.
and then talk about the bottleneck because that's like a very big
Mhm.
bucket. Regarding the integrations, I would say deciding on an integration, like if you're using N8N, and N8N
Mhm.
clearly said on their website for technical, they highlighted orange. I was there. They want you
Mhm.
to know that this is not for rookies. You have to
Yeah.
be technical. You have Make is like a little more open to everyone, and then
Mhm.
Zapier is kind of like a do it all and in between. I would say if you're a small business owner and you keep doing the same thing and it's taking you an hour or 2 hours and you're like, I know this could be faster. This is why I said earlier that I
Mhm.
break some of the things that I said, just start with the things you know. If you know this is going to be a problem and you can't scale your business unless you solve this, that's probably when it's worth it to get something like Make, where you'll say, okay, it's it's straightforward enough based on what I've researched, and I know I have these things that don't work well together, so it's
Mhm.
worth it. So you think about it, you don't have to like jot it down in an Excel spreadsheet, but you think about, am I gonna end up saving those 500 hours in the long run? Like, how long does it take me? If it takes me 3 hours a week, I know if I work, 40 weeks a year, that's gonna be
Mhm.
120 weeks. Like, do
Mhm.
I want that? 120, not weeks, 120 hours. But
Hours, yeah.
but so yeah, so I would say just do that little math in your head. And for me, it's usually worth it to choose one and try to solve one problem. You choose one
Mhm.
connector. I I had to make that decision. I'm not gonna say which one I took,
Oh,
but I
no,
had to
we
make
all
that
wanna know.
decision.
We all wanna
You wanna
know.
know?
Yeah, we wanna know. I wanna know.
You wanna know?
Yeah.
Um, oh wow. Okay, I chose make.
Oh, okay. See, and I think Make is very I mean, I don't think any of them are user-friendly, but I think Make is the most user-friendly. Like, it's very visual. I've watched YouTube videos of people using it, and to me, it seems the most intuitive. If
Mhm.
would you agree?
I I would I would agree. I would
Yeah.
agree. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. For
I'm
me,
trying to
and
be fair
I'm
to all the tech stack, but to all the
yeah.
tech companies, but yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, and I think, I'm a very visual person, and I feel like the way that they've set it up, it just I don't know, it makes more sense to me than anything that I've tried. I had a Zapier hook set up at one point in time, and but I only used the free trial because I didn't want to pay, I don't know what it is, like 20 bucks a month or whatever for my like one Zapier hook. And I'm like, is this truly worth it? I decided no, it was not.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I've tried there's another one that I'm currently using actually, but the only reason I'm using it was because it was the cheapest and my marketing guy set it up for me, so I didn't have to do it.
Yeah,
But
I chose Meg because yes, it seemed a lot easier and a lot more
mhm.
intuitive. And as you said, the visual is clear. Like, hey, these are your nodes, these are your actions. This is what you wanted to take. It's
Mhm.
much clearer to look at that than Zapier. And one thing I would say, this is actually very important. I'm gonna go on a tiny rant here,
Okay.
but if you think about there's a pro to going with like an older company like
Mhm.
Zapier. They're older, they're connected with more things, they're more likely to survive and continue to exist. They have capital, right?
Mhm.
But they likely have older systems, or they're probably built on an older engineering infrastructure. So to do something new takes a bigger lift. Now, if you
Mhm.
think about Make, it's newer, and maybe they don't break even, and then they're like, "Oh, sorry, Make went out of business." So you're taking that risk. But
Mhm.
at the same time, it's usually built on a newer infrastructure. So the connections are easier, the integrations are easier. There's been a lot more, user experience learnings from everyone, not from themselves. And they're like, oh, people generally like this. And then
Mhm.
they can build that with their product. So I would say that. I'll pause right there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good insight, and I think that's actually not something that I think the average person would think about, would be like, "Oh, this business is new, like, maybe it will go under and I'll have to, like, start over again." Like, I never would have thought about that if I was using Make, you know? Like, that's something that I
Yeah.
need to consider, but it's true, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was going over some classes from the AI class that I'm in, and because I missed a bunch of classes, and so I was going over the classes that I missed, and they're like, "Oh, you should use this program for like dictation, and then you can just like talk, and it will like dictate your emails and stuff like that." And so I'm like, "Okay," and it was free, so I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna sign up for this free thing because talking is faster than typing." And when I got to the website, and this is like weeks, and it's just gone. Like, it's just like, it's just not there. And I'm like, okay, like, I guess that's how things go in this AI landscape. Like, things come and go just like that.
Yeah. Maybe it was acquired. I don't know. Maybe they had a good ending, but being in Silicon Valley and in the Bay for a while, I have um I have experienced that, and a lot of decision makers look at that like, okay, is this new? Is this new and amazing? Right? If it's new and amazing, people are gonna double down, or it's new and proven. Like no
Uh-huh.
one's going to say, ChatGPT is new. I don't know if I should go with it. Is it gonna work out?
Yeah.
Sure, it's gonna work out. But some others you might not be able to see it. But maybe I'm biased because I now have, I've settled with Make, but I think Make is gonna, I think they're
Yeah.
doing well. I think they'll
I
be they'll
think
be
they are
around.
too.
So
I think
free
like definitely.
advertising for Make.
Yeah, I think definitely their competitive advantage is how user friendly it is for the average person, right? Because now, especially I think in the content creator economy, people need to know how to do all the things, right? Like we need to know how to build our websites, we need to know how to do our email integrations, we need to know how to like edit our videos and upload the content and do all the things, right? So the more user friendly that things can get, the better I think a company was gonna end up.
Yeah, yeah, that's completely true. Um, yeah,
So,
my. Go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, if you wanted to go back, we had started potentially talking about bottlenecks in
Yes.
small businesses.
I did not forget that question. So,
Okay.
so the question is bottlenecks, and what's the bottleneck for businesses to start using platforms,
Mhm.
including platforms like Asana for project management, work management? Is that it? Yeah. So
Mhm.
I would say the biggest bottleneck is, um, I would say, change management. So getting
Mm.
ready for what they need to do. So by change management, I mean knowing what the outcomes are, knowing what the plan is to use the product, knowing who is going to use that, what level of expertise. So just really planning it and having the right people who are taking the lead, right? Who is going to be the owner of this big change?
Mhm.
Who is going to be the person who's there for feedback? Who's having conversations with folks when folks are upset or a little stressed? Because learning new software, even if the software is supposed to reduce stress, can cause stress
Mhm.
upfront. As you said, there's that investment and
Yeah.
that pain upfront. Just having a little bit of preparation for that. That's usually, I I don't know if it's a bottleneck. It doesn't stop you from starting, but it's
Mhm.
usually a blocker for success because
Mhm.
everyone here is like, yes, we're gonna buy this product, we're gonna buy Asana. Let's say Asana, but it's all products. We're gonna buy this product and it's gonna make life better. We're
Mhm.
going to have insight into things, but there's no product that reads minds yet.
Mhm.
Um, so you have to type in what you're gonna do. You have to create an automation, even if you want AI to type in what you're gonna do, even if you want someone else to type in that's happy to type it, you'd have to create a process for them to come in and submit. So I would say a lot of companies don't think about what's the launch plan? What's the change management plan? What's the people plan, right? How do we sell this to people? How do we get people to buy in? How do we get people to be excited and happy about it and see that it's beneficial to them? And when they don't plan for that, then people just see it as change, or some people, not everyone. Some will see the benefits even if you don't sell it to them, especially those where seeing the pain a lot. But others will just see it as like just change. Maybe they don't see
Mhm.
it as pro or con, but it's more change and it's more work they have to do. And usually they're not rewarded for doing this. Is just like, hey, you gotta do it. Or maybe it's a stick even. Like if you don't do this
Mhm.
by then and that, and that's usually a blocker for doing it or even doing it the right way. Even if they do it, but they're not planning it the right way, and um folks haven't been intentional with the launch of new products.
Mhm.
Now I'll pause here.
Yeah. Do you find that, because like a lot of, I would say, okay, I've only ever worked in basically smaller family owned businesses, and now I work for myself, right? So I think, do you find that there's like a minimum number of people or a minimum size of corporation or company won't make sense before you start implementing these project management softwares? Or like even a small mom and pop shop, like can they get benefit out of these things? Or like
Um,
does it only make sense once you pass like 100 employees or something like that?
that makes sense. That makes sense. That's a great question. But I'll ask you this question. I'll respond with a question, which I don't like to do, but I think this is gonna make the point. If do you like when you go to a store, or not just for you, but for the store owner, then they don't take credit cards or don't have automated receipts, right? They're just
Mm.
writing it down. Like, what's that experience like?
It's a little bit old school. Yeah, I used to go to see a reflexologist actually, and that's how like they just write the receipts down in like a little
Yeah.
receipt book or whatever.
Exactly. Or I,
Mhm.
I know the laundromat that I went to, not laundromat, dry cleaning place I went to for a while. They had, or most of the dry cleaning places, they had something that they wrote to you. They have to give you something, but a lot of them,
Yeah.
since they have to give you something, they're like, well, why don't I just do it in a book? And
Yeah.
the probability of losing something, which folks did lose things, or not being sure your thing's on the rack, or it's not associated with a number, just like increases. So,
Mhm.
I think a lot of it's the same thing for project management is what I would say.
Mhm.
So even if you're a one person shop, and I'm using Asana, and I'm actually growing. I have an intern
Whoa.
coming on board. Um, but even if you're a one person shop, there are some benefits. Just keeping things organized. It's just like having the
Mhm.
receipts. Like, do you want to have a stack of receipts on your desk, or do you want to have it digitally? And there's going to be a
Mhm.
cost for that, right? Same with
Mhm.
like, you don't take credit cards because, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, they take a percentage from you. So you're like, oh, well, I don't want to lose that percentage. I want to make all the money. But
Mhm.
then you have to deal with taxes at the end. You don't have that reporting and all of that,
Mhm.
what you're selling as well. So you have a lot of benefits and there's some negative things. And at the end of the day, you have to weigh them. And some folks say, okay, maybe I'll bring that on after a certain amount. Or folks say minimum credit card needs to be $15, $20. We've
Mhm.
all seen that, right?
Mhm.
I would say the same applies for work management. You could be one, two, five, 10-person team.
Mhm.
You definitely want to weigh the options. I'm not going to say, hey, buy work management because you have to.
Mhm.
I don't get any money from any of the platforms that way. But I would say, um, think through it. It's like, okay, what are the benefits? Am I going to have all my work organized? Am I going to be able to track my data and see what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing? Or do I do that naturally? Do I have those conversations with my team and we organize it? What's our current process, right? And this is a question I asked you in the last podcast. Is your work handoffable, right? Remember
Mm.
that? Like,
Yeah,
could you
yeah.
hand it off? And when it's in a digital platform, it's usually easier to hand off. Let's say you hire a new person, you say, okay, this is what they were doing, and they could see it. But if it was in their brain or in their notebook, their brain and their notebook stays with them. So
Mhm.
that's one thing I would say. It goes for any size, but think about really it's about your workflows. You could be a
Mhm.
one person shop and you have lots of workflows, or you could be a 20-person shop and everyone's doing the same thing, you know?
Mhm.
So you just keep doing the same thing. There's not a lot of variability, there's not a lot of reporting needed, there's not a lot of whatever. So you can uh, go along with not having a platform.
Mhm. So, talking about a one person shop then, because you're starting your own business now. And so, how do you use Asana on a daily basis? Like, what's your workflow and implementing all the tools and all the things?
How do I not use Asana? Is a better
Okay, well,
question.
maybe that's a shorter list, but
Yeah, I don't use Asana to transport myself. I don't use
yeah,
Asana to eat.
yeah. Go to the
There's
gym.
probably a few.
No, but you schedule all those things, right? With Asana.
Yeah, I would say so. Asana is at the center of what I do.
Mhm.
Um, and so anything I have to do, right, whether it's building pipeline and leads, I'm doing that in Asana. There's software that does that, but um but I'm not using them. I'm using
Mhm.
Asana to do that. To plan my marketing, obviously Asana has great marketing use cases. To plan my marketing, my online posting, all of that, that's happening through Asana. Um, to run my business operations, like, okay, here's what I need to do, like the legal work that I need to do, the people I need to contact, the networking, that's all in
Mhm.
Asana.
Mhm.
And if you think about it, Asana has tasks, but I use them as objects. When I
Uh,
need to contact certain people, a list of people I need to contact, that's all in Asana, right? And also, I use Asana for notes.
mhm.
Big up to the Asana product team that added the notes feature. I think it's like a year old at this point, and then it's evolving.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like the notes. So now I'm even taking my notes there. So instead of taking notes in what would be a task or a status update, I'm getting deep into the weeds. But I have my notes in Asana. I have my strategy in Asana, and I'll
Uh-huh.
and I'll take a pause after I say this. I have still my notebook that I write some things on.
But it is an Asana notebook. I see
Yeah,
that.
it's just that it's gonna run out, and at some point, I'm gonna use a non-branded notebook.
No, you should
I
buy a
had
Savvy notebook. I have
a Savvy.
notebooks.
You have a Savvy notebook?
I have merch, dude.
Oh, all right. Oh, I need a
Yeah.
hat. I need a Savvy
There
hat.
there are hats, there are toques, there are there are
Wow.
sweatshirts.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna need a
Yeah.
Savvy notebook and a
Okay.
hat.
Okay.
I have goals written on the side on my wall here,
Mhm.
and all of that stuff ends up in Asana. Even if
Mhm.
it's in my notebook and my wall,
Mhm.
they're more for my like to do items right now or
Yeah.
prioritization or for me to see them. But everything that I'm doing, my yearly goals are in Asana, my quarterly goals are in Asana. Anything I have to follow up in Asana now. Asana's integrated with some different platforms, not all the platforms yet. I'm actually in the process of like doing what you talked about, like looking at my tech stack and saying, okay, what do I need for what? And some
Mhm.
things will actually duplicate, but which one's better? And then create
Mhm.
those connections. But I use Asana for everything. And one thing I would say, and I mentioned it earlier regarding native integrations, start with the native integrations. Like don't start thinking, oh, I'm gonna build this crazy thing and it's gonna be like this, and I'm gonna have 70 zaps that do this thing. It's like, okay, do I need an integration from Asana and Google? Like, okay, every time this thing happens, create a meeting. Everything this thing happens, um, send a Slack, right? Or any of those things could be done already with Asana, some of the native integrations. I'd say just start with those and then
Mhm.
add more.
Yeah. So you were saying that you use your Asana for like marketing and posting and stuff like that. But my question is like how does is it integrated into your social media for the posts? So you just
Yeah.
upload it into Asana and then it auto posts, or cuz that's how my Go High Level works, but part of the issue like so I'm using Go High Level as my CRM. And part of my issue that I have, and then part of the I'm going around in circles, but they all connect. So, so one of the things that I was learning in my AI mastery class was Airtable. They're huge on
Mhm.
Airtable, right? And so they're like, yeah, you can use Airtable to like make content, but it really doesn't work the way that like I would want it to work,
Yeah.
It's like I would want it to create and make the content and then auto post it but it has to, be exactly the right say exactly the right things, and also the photos have to be exactly the right things, but I
Yeah.
don't know that Airtable actually creates images. And so then it's like I still have to take whatever they say and then put it into ChatGPT and create the image, and then I still have to, take all of that information and upload it into Canva to create the final version of whatever it is, and then upload that into a CSV document and upload that into my Go High Level and then auto
Yep.
post it, right? And I'm kind of like, I don't understand what the point is, right? So sometimes I feel like the tech that we're offered or the tech that they're like, "Oh, yeah, I can do these amazing things," but I'm like, "But no, I still have to do all these steps in between to actually get the final product." And so, you had mentioned posting and marketing, and so I'm wondering, do tools like Asana actually make your life easier in that sense, or is it still a bunch of steps like I would have to do if I was using Airtable, for example?
Yeah, so that's a great question. This is like the philosophical question, I guess. Like, what does it do? Um,
Yeah, what does it do and how does it actually make my life easier and save me time?
I love the excitement. You're like, yeah. I feel like you got this
You
close
get
to the
me,
camera.
Carl.
Yeah. So Asana and other work management platforms, what they do is they organize work. That's what they do.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
don't actually do the work. And I think that's why I mean that's why I mentioned with the change management, making sure people know
Mhm.
like what the work is going to be and what what's expected from the tool. So
Mhm.
when I say marketing and posting, I mean by organizing my marketing campaigns, saying, okay, I'm going to have six different marketing campaigns, or I'm going to have, let's say, two different marketing campaigns. This one is to talk about work management, and this one is to talk about Asana features specifically. So one is like kind of higher level, one of them is about Asana features, and I can have like where I want to post it. I can organize like with Asana, I can use custom fields to say I'm going to post this on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and on YouTube. I could say those
Mm.
things. So I've organized it. And then I can have the strategy. What am I trying to do? I can have then connected to a goal. My goal is to release 20 YouTube videos for the month. And my other
Mhm.
goal that's connected to that is to get 500 leads for the month. And then up to a goal that says, hi, I want to make $1 million this year, right?
Mhm.
And all of those things are connected. Now in Asana, you could see that. If you go to Canva, if you go to Adobe, Adobe is not built for that. Adobe
Mhm.
and Canva are built to make the actual thing. You can't say, well, how much money am I supposed to make? What's the revenue I'm supposed to get from these different graphics that I've created? Adobe's like,
Mhm.
that's not my problem. I just help you create this thing. And
Yeah.
Asana essentially is the same thing where it doesn't create your marketing post, but it helps you organize your thought and it helps it make it handoffable, right?
Mhm.
So it's like, okay, now I have this work and I can hand it off to someone if I got sick, right? Let's
Mhm.
say something terrible happened to me, and I'm like, Savi, I need you to run my business for a month. And then you go to Asana, you're like, oh, these are all the things God wanted to do. These are all the topics and the platform. This is the goal.
Mhm.
And you have all of that connected. And
Mhm.
now you still need to like create that content. Now, Asana does offer some AI that will do some writing, right? LLMs are
Mhm.
great at writing. So if
Mhm.
you're creating posts that need to be written, Asana could give it a crack. I still like to write my own posts and have,
Mhm.
Gemini and other folks edited, but I like to write my own post.
Mhm.
But the short answer is Asana helps you organize your work, create a list. Sometimes, even Asana, folks don't like to see Asana as a task list, but it is
Mhm.
a list of things that need to be done, a list of goals, a list of projects, a list of
Mhm.
tasks, a list of reports, right? Of things
Mhm.
that you need to do. So it's an organizational tool and not a doing tool. And
Mhm.
that's why the change management part is important to get your team to understand that because your team still has to understand like, hey, after we set up our Asana, I still got to go to Canva and create that graphic. I still got to
Mhm.
go to Adobe and create that graphic. There could be an integration that allows you to see it faster or to
Mhm.
comment in Adobe faster or whatever, but it's
Mhm.
not gonna do it for you. So I want to
Well,
make sure that's clear.
yeah, and I think to that point, like, even the integrations sometimes, like, ChatGPT just recently, like, upped the number of integrations that they have, and so now that you can integrate your Canva and, I mean, maybe it was there earlier and I just didn't check, but, like, I just integrated my Canva with my ChatGPT, but even the integration, it was like I clicked the Canva button and it was like it just took me to Canva, and I was like, "Okay, like, what's the purpose of this?" Like, I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
just as easily open a tab and go to Canva, so
Yeah.
so 'cause sometimes I'm just not sure, like, okay, they talk about integrations, then they talk about how amazing these things are, and I'm just like, "But is that actually making my life better or easier?" Or like,
Saved you a click. Maybe
I s
you had to click open new tab and then click in a bookmark. Imagine it was bookmarked. You didn't
Yeah.
even have to type it, but yeah, a lot of integrations are just connectors. That's the
Mhm.
honest truth. They're just like, oh, well, you can go directly from here to here.
Mhm.
That's a lot of integrations. And that's
Yeah.
why I said, that third part of the three parts that I mentioned, that third part, making sure you know what actions the integration
Mhm.
can take. Because some integrations just like, hey, look, you can see it here. You can see your image here
Uh-huh.
in in um in Chat GPT, or you can send a comment from chat to Canva, or
Mhm.
you can just go navigate to it. So you want to
Yeah.
understand what actions it can take. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were saying that you also use Asana for like an email. I don't know if it's like an auto responder or like just a collector or but you were saying that you kind of
Ooh.
like yeah. How does that work, right? So if it's a project management software that just shows you your workflows, but then, because you're an Asana expert, right? So then how do you do these fancy schmancy things that maybe the average person wouldn't know how to do? And then you can use your Asana without having to get like MailChimp or something.
Oh, that's my secret sauce. I don't
That's
know
a
if I could.
secret sauce. You're not
I'm
gonna.
joking. I'm joking. Well, there are a lot of I don't want to say the word hack, but there are a lot of workarounds to use different tools so not what they were intended to do.
Mhm.
If you go search for top email platforms, email campaign platforms, Asana should not show up.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Asana people should not be happy if it shows up because it's going to be a bad experience because you're expecting it to do that.
Mhm.
But what I meant actually is not anything crazy. And you can get a little crazier with it. But what I meant is really responding to emails or generating emails from Asana based on a specific group of actions or rules that were taken in Asana. So I'm gonna get into the weeds here, but I'll try to get out in 3 minutes. So if you think of Asana having tasks, so you can manage your task, right? You can
Yeah.
go and say, I need to do this, this, and that. You can also create workflows to say, when this happens, then do this, right?
Mhm.
Let's say an email. You have an email, you're trying to get someone to respond or something. You send an
Mhm.
email, and if they respond back, or it doesn't matter what they do, but it triggers it to go to another stage to take another activity. Now,
Mhm.
one of those things, because Asana does have automations. I've been speaking about tasks, but the tasks themselves can have automations that make them do certain things, that can make them
Mhm.
assign it to a person, that can make it send an email, as I'm saying. But essentially, what happens is I'm using Asana to say, hey, this is a good example. Let me give you a good example. Maybe we're collecting information from a form,
Uh-huh.
in Asana form. Asana allows you to have a form. You
Mhm.
collect the information, and part of the information you collect is the email address. Now,
Mhm.
the email address goes into Asana, and you say, okay, I have this email address from the form in Asana. That's a custom field. It's a place where in Asana, it's a piece of data. And with
Mhm.
Asana, you can use that piece of data to take actions. And one of those actions is sending an email. You could say, hey, Asana, someone submits a form. Take this piece of data, AKA email,
Mhm.
then use that piece of data as the to in the Gmail activity, and then
Mhm.
you can have it add this particular text. And with the text, you can add variables of different things you can say. So essentially, you can use Asana as a responder for things. So I think I'll start with that. That's a
Mhm.
very easy thing you could do. You could have an Asana form on your website. You can have an Asana form just on its own, like a page where folks ask you for questions, and then as
Mhm.
soon as they email you, you can have it email them back, and you can have even like Asana AI read what they sent you and kind of make some judgments. But the short is you can collect emails and then you can respond to it with some different variables that allow you to automate, and you don't have to actually type in the email.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it's not going to be like MailChimp. It's not going
Yeah.
to say, hey, this is MailChimp. We are gathering all of these emails. We want to send an email to 1,000 people. We want to have the sequence. And after 5 days, you do this and after that. Like those things are, I'm sure you can get some of it done if you decided to do that in Asana.
Mhm.
Um, but they're purpose-built software, and sometimes it's worth paying the 20, $40. I know MailChimp is not cheap, but
Mhm.
sometimes it's worth paying the money to do it right.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's where a lot of small businesses really struggle as well, is because, small businesses are just starting up. It's not like they have endless amounts of capital to be investing into these things. And so it's about picking or like figuring out what your ideal tech stack is for your needs right now. So you're not spending like, I mean, if you were getting all the things, you could be spending like hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month on these, tech stacks.
Yes.
And so it can be overwhelming again, for the average like small business owner just starting out to try to figure out like what is the best tech stack for me. Um, do you have any insight on that? Like, what's your own tech stack? Because we talked about my tech stack, which, is mostly notebooks. Um, but we talked about my tech stack in our previous podcast. Like, what's your tech stack look like? And what do you recommend for small business owners?
Ooh. Well, this is a it depends answer. it
Yeah.
depends on when the business you're doing. Like my business is all tech, so
Yeah.
I gotta have that. So I'll say okay. And what else do I want to say? For small businesses, I would say start and see how the problems develop. Start with
Mhm.
fewer, or at least that's what I'm doing. I shouldn't say
Uh-huh.
this is the right answer, but this is what I'm doing. I'm starting with fewer apps, and as the problem kind of shows itself to be something that I need to resolve, then I buy it. Sometimes I even do a free trial and I test it.
Mhm.
So some of the things I have, I would say Asana for sure. Uh DocuSign. That's my
Mhm.
business will need folks to sign contracts. What else? Obviously Google Workspace
Mhm.
Pro, so I could have Gemini and all the extra
Mhm.
bells and whistles. What else do I have? I use Zoho for accounting. So making sure you have an accounting platform. Some people don't use the accounting platforms. They're like, well, I don't run a huge consulting company and I don't have a lot of deals. I could do that myself. What
Is
else do I
is Zoho comparable to, QuickBooks? That's what I have.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yes. And Zoho is a company that does a lot of things. So they have a CRM platform, they have a meeting platform, they have all the things. Like so they have the Zooms, so
Mm.
they're like a all in one if you want to do something like that. The way I think about Zoho, they also have signing, right? I think of
Mhm.
Zoho as like and Zoho people might chase me after this. They're not like the best in anything, but they're very good. They're great in everything, in a lot of
Mhm.
things, in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Um, what else do I use? I use Slack, right, to
Mhm.
communicate with folks so that they can have access to me. Um, what else? Zoom.
Uh-huh.
Definitely need Zoom, right? So you
Mhm.
can have meetings. My job, right, as a consultant is meeting with people and discovering their problems and then meeting with them to show them the result. So I can't
Mhm.
have Zoom free. I'm like, oh, it's 45 minutes, gotta go.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So I have that. Let's see, what else do I have? CapCut. It's
Mhm.
on a trial now. Right. I'm like, okay, am I gonna keep CapCut? Am I going to use them? And then for design, I have Adobe Express.
Okay.
So I'm using Adobe Express for design. And then
Mhm.
last one, I'll add this one in there, LinkedIn,
Mhm.
because you gotta stay connected. So I had LinkedIn
Mhm.
Premium. Actually, I'll add one last one.
Just ridiculously expensive. I just paid my bill the other day. It was like, "Holy crap, I forgot how every year I'm like, "Oh my
LinkedIn.
god."
I'll say one last one is Coursera
Yeah.
because I love learning. And when I
Mm.
used to work at Asana, and even before, I would always like use my learning and development budget on
Mhm.
Coursera so I could learn a few things. So I probably don't use Coursera as much as I it should. I think the numbers are pretty bad. I think it's like 10% or less than 10% of classes are completed on Coursera.
Yeah.
But it's always great to have that in there and be like, okay, I'm learning something new. And I do try to even if I don't end the class, I start some classes, so I
Mhm.
give them 10 things, I'm sure I have more, that's the sad
But
part.
that's a sizable tech stack, and then again, like, learning how they all work and function
Mhm.
together into creating workflows. So, um we are getting close to the end of our time. Did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about before? Like, did we miss anything? Are there amazing secrets that you're keeping from us and that the
Amazing secrets. Oh, yeah, they do
Yeah,
have amazing secrets,
you
and
do?
this is kind of a sales pitch,
Okay.
but I believe it. I'm gonna say generally. So it might
Mhm.
be a sales pitch, but still generally, I highly recommend hiring, an expert or a professional to help you
Mhm.
with your tech stack. So
Mhm.
the things you were talking about, like, yeah, how do I do this? How do I do that?
Mhm.
You can try to do it on your own, but if you hire someone, they can show you how to do it or they could build it for you. So that's my
Mhm.
job, right? I don't just teach people how to use Asana, I build things for them. So if you
Mhm.
say, hey, Carl, I need to build this workflow that does this and that, and I have these marketing events. Like I started with that. Like I'm the NFL, Carl. I'm throwing the Super Bowl. Can you help me
Yeah.
do this? And I can like take you into multiple, discovery calls and how to build it calls. So I could say, hey, here's some training, but here's how I've built it. Now you can go in, and here's training on how I've built it for you. So now
Mhm.
you can go in it and know how to use it right away, as opposed to you trying to figure it out. And part of your plan is now learning it. So I would recommend that even for small business owners,
Mhm.
because there are different types. I'm an Asana service partner, so I help, all different organizations, but there are service partners that specialize in different things, small businesses, big businesses, and they will work with you.
Mhm.
They'll understand your budget, they'll understand, your struggles, and they'll help you build it. And it will, if time is important for you, it will save you time. You'll say,
Mhm.
okay, this person built this thing for me and they taught me. Hopefully, they taught you how to use it.
Mhm.
I would at Lay of Success, I definitely would show you how to use it. Um, and you'll be in a better place. So you're not starting from scratch and you're not like trying to learn a tool while running a business.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest struggles for, new business owners or small business owners is finding that balance of working in the business versus on the business. And, and so it's like sometimes you can get so stuck in the weeds of working in the business that you're not actually doing the things that make the business grow. And so it's like, you need to get to that tipping point where you kind of like give up those things and start hiring people to do those things so that you can actually be the one going out there and like generating new
Yes.
business, generating the revenue.
Yes, you're all right. I haven't been doing this long, but I'm like, okay, Carl, I need to cut out time for in the business versus on the business. That's a good way
Yeah.
to put it.
Yeah. And I think it's one that everyone struggles with when they're starting up. So, but now you have an intern, you said so.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's
They're great.
exciting.
They're great. So we just started, so we'll see how
Yeah.
it goes, and
Yeah.
hopefully
So maybe
it'll
I
be
need an
easy.
intern.
Hey, there are pros and cons of having an intern versus a professional.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Right?
I believe it. I believe it. I believe it.
I don't even have to go through it. I think we all know what they
Yeah, we
are.
all know. We all know. Yeah. So you ended our podcast with a question. I'm going to throw that question back at you.
Wow.
What is your superpower?
My superpower. My superpower, I know this answer. I'm trying to find the right words. My superpower is my empathy. I would say my superpower is definitely my empathy. I can listen to people and empathize with them individually
Mhm.
and really think about how can I help them from their standpoint.
Mhm.
And that ability to connect with people and have that positivity.
Mhm.
Right. I have positivity. I'm connecting with them. I want to help them, not just like be sad for them. And then asking questions as a result to then like see how we can resolve it if they
Mhm.
need resolution. I think that's one of my weaknesses. It used to be like trying to like be a solution minded person, like, hey, I'm gonna help you. You say you got a problem. Let's go.
Yeah.
And people are like, no, I just wanted to tell you my problem. Uh, or I don't want to hear your solution. I want to tell you what I think the solution is. But
Yeah.
I would say it's my empathy, and I think that's part of the reason why I like my job, because I think about, I want people to achieve their mission and their goals, and they are asking me and trying to use Asana or another project management platform to do that.
Mhm.
And I don't just think about teaching them the platform or building the workflows. I think about how is that going to help them, help their family, help their cause, and everything in between.
That is a really amazing superpower, Carl. And I can also confirm that to the audience that he has an amazing superpower of just making people feel good. So, yes.
Mhm.
Anyways, I really enjoyed this conversation. I hope you did too. Where is the best place for people to find you online if they want to connect?
The best place for people to find me online is on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I am always on LinkedIn now. I swapped on my phone. I swapped Instagram for LinkedIn as soon as I
Good for
started my business.
you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Okay. So we'll post the link to your LinkedIn account, and then we'll also post your website for Leah's Success as well in the comments below. So
Thank you. Appreciate it,
okay.
son.
Thanks, Carl.
Ciao.
Bye.